everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I, of course, am just another heavy metal maniac, and today I am bringing you all a video that, I haven't really made this style of video for a while. I feel like this is going to be kind of a, discussion slash, I guess, sort of rant, type video. This video, for me, was inspired by, my friend Rusty Darlington, not too long ago. He posted a video entitled, 10 Bands I Just Can't Get Into, or something to that effect. I myself made a video like that earlier on when I first started off with this channel a while ago. But this one is going to be a little bit different. So for me, this video is going to be all about bands I feel like I should like, but for whatever reason, I just simply cannot get into them. Like, these are all, because when I kind of made my popular bands I just can't get into video, I did kind of choose a lot of bands that are like outside of like my usual taste in metal and just music in general, but for this I'm kind of going with specifically bands that, again, I feel like I should like these bands, or because I like bands that are very similar to these artists, but for whatever reason I just cannot get into anything they've ever done. So yeah, without further ado, enough my ramblings, let's just get right into this video. So my first choice, this was the first band that I thought of when I started coming up with the list for this video. This one's always been kind of up there for me in terms of like bands I feel like I should like, but I just simply cannot get into. And the first band I want to discuss today is none other than Children of Bodom. So of course, Children of Bodom, I'd say pretty legendary, you know, Finnish melodic death metal slash power metal band, kind of a hybrid of the two. Now, of course, I love Finnish death metal. I feel like that's pretty well documented on this channel. I love bands like, you know, Convulse and Pertinence and Amorphis and stuff like that. And I also like melodic death metal, and I think Finnish melodic death metal is really good. You know, bands like Insomnium and, again, Amorphis, stuff like that. And I also do love power metal. I really enjoy a lot of power metal bands. So really, you know, this is kind of like, this is, you know, a blend of two genres that I like, you know, melodic death metal and power metal. I feel like I should really like this. And also, I am a big fan of a band that is very similar to Children of Bodom, and that is Kalma, who are, again, another Finnish band that sort of blend power metal and melodic death metal together. But this Children of Bodom, for me, I have simply never liked this band. I listened to them multiple times, but I just simply cannot get into them. I don't really know what it is about them. Like, I feel like they're maybe kind of overly reliant on keyboards, which I don't mind keyboards in metal, but I feel like a lot of times Children of Bodom just uses it way too much. And, like, their earlier stuff, I can at least respect, you know, the musicianship and the songwriting, and, you know, kind of has, you know, cool, you know, atmosphere and stuff, and, you know, like, granted, some of the songs are, you know, fun, but even so, I just really cannot get into it. I don't know, again, it just really does not really click with me, but I've also heard this band's later stuff, which is, honestly, I would honestly just kind of say it's, like, flat out bad. Honestly, like, they kind of went more, like, I guess, like, kind of more groove metal on like some of their later stuff, or like they kind of like toned down the power metal influence, but they brought in some like kind of more, again, like melodic death groove metal, kind of similar to like Cataclysm or like The Haunted, kind of in that vein. So yeah, Children of Bodom, I do respect Alexi Laiho as, you know, a guitarist. That man was a great guitarist, without a doubt. No, I'm not knocking the musicianship or in this band at all. I think these guys were very talented musicians. It's just, I don't know, their songwriting has just never appealed to me. I've never really cared for anything really about this band, honestly. But again, I feel like I should like them, because again, I like melodic death metal, I like power metal, and I also really like Kalma, who are very similar to Children of Bodom. You know, there's, again, the kind of heavy use of keyboards and synths, and you get, you know, melodic death metal, power metal, fusion. But again, it's just, I don't know, it's never clicked with me. Who knows, maybe it will one day, but I kind of doubt it. I've given this band multiple chances to grow on me, and they just haven't. So yeah, that's my first choice. This was, again, the first band I immediately thought of for this video, Children of Bodom. Just cannot get into them, but I have tried. Alright, let's move away from death metal just for a second and talk about some thrash metal. Now, I love thrash metal. Thrash metal was one of the genres that cemented my love of metal as a whole. And I like the kind of new wave of thrash metal, because, you know, obviously thrash metal for the 90s, it died out for a while, and then in the 2000s it came back with bands like Warbringer, Municipal Waste, Toxic Holocaust, bands like that. And I enjoy all those bands. However, there is one band from that whole mid-2000s thrash metal revival that I just simply have never, ever been able to get into, and that is Evile. Now, again, I feel like I should like this band, because again, I like, you know, Evile obviously are one of the big names to come out, again, that whole mid-2000s, like, thrash metal revival alongside Warbringer and stuff like that. Definitely one of the big names to come out of it, definitely, I'd say, the leaders of the whole UK, like, kind of modern thrash metal scene, without a doubt. And, again, Evile, sonically, they are similar to a lot of other bands I like, you know, I feel like this band also, like a lot of the other modern-day thrash metal bands, proudly wear their influences on their sleeves. You can tell these guys love, you know, Metallica and Slayer and, you know, bands like that, Mortal Sin, Sacred Reich, and I like all those bands. But Evile, this band to me is incredibly boring. Their first album is decent. I'll give it that. It's decent. It's not my favorite thing ever, but it is decent. There are some great riffs on that album. But man, this band's, like, material after their debut, I don't know what it is. All their albums are, like over 50 minutes, or some of them are even over an hour long, and there's simply no reason for it. Like, this band really has no reason for these, there's no reason for these songs to be as long as they are, and, like, my god, it's just boring. Like, they try to be, like, technical and, like, progressive, but it just completely falls flat, in my opinion. And this band has just kind of, like, progressively gotten somehow more and more boring as the years have gone on, and again, I've listened to a bunch of their albums, and I just don't care for it. Like, yeah, there's cool riffs here and there, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get into this one riff, but then the rest of the song just kind of, like, plateaus, and it's just like, okay, well, you at least tried, I guess. Yeah, no, everything about this band I just find very, just kind of plain, very derivative. Like, for me, there's no real reason why I would choose this band over any of the other, like, bands that they sound like, yeah, these guys try to be like Metallica, and, you know, they try to be like Master of Puppets, where, you know, it's much more intricate, kind of more progressive songwriting, but I could just listen to Master of Puppets and it would be awesome. This is just, no, and of course, with their last album, was it called The Unknown, just Into the Unknown, something like that, I don't even remember. That album flat out sucks. Like, it was just them trying to be like a modern day, like, it was essentially felt like them trying to recreate the Black Album. It feels like them trying to make the Black Album 2.0, which, why? I don't get it too. That's such a weird trend in thrash now anyways, where, like, you know, bands that were thrash are now kind of moving away from thrash and going for more, like, you know, metalcore or, like, stuff like that, and I don't get it. I don't know why a lot of modern thrash bands are doing it. Evile, like, they tried to hop on the whole, I guess they were, I don't know, trying to hop on a trend that, like, died out in the 90s. I don't really get the whole existence of that album. But yeah, Evile, again, I feel like, I've tried to get into this band, but I just can't. They just really do not do anything for me. Every time I hear them, I'm just like, man, this is just so not great. Again, I feel like I should like this band, but I don't know, for me, their sound is just too plain, too derivative, doesn't really lack the intensity, it lacks the intensity that I look for in a lot of thrash metal. So for me, Evile, I love thrash, but this is one of the thrash bands that I simply cannot get into. And next up, I have another thrash band, although a bit of a different thrash band. This is a band that, again, I feel like I should like, because, again, I like a lot of bands that sound very similar to this one, but for me, this band just kinda misses the mark. And that band is none other than Texas's own Watchtower. Now, Watchtower are pretty, you know, noteworthy band in the whole progressive/technical thrash metal scene. They kind of popped up a bit later than some of the other layers. I believe their debut came out, was it I actually don't remember when their debut came out. I think it was the late 80s, but yeah, Texas band, Texas progressive technical thrash metal band, and I think Texas thrash is, like, honestly underrated. So many great thrash bands out of Texas. You have DRI, Devastation, Rigor Mortis, all fantastic bands. And then you have Watchtower, who, Watchtower, for me, kind of like Evile, I find that they just simply do not have, like, the intensity that I look for in thrash. Like, when I want, like, yeah, you can incorporate different elements in thrash, but the main thing thrash has to be for me is it has to be, at the very least, you know, like, intense. Like, it has to be, you know, up-tempo and energetic and just pummeling in your face and just, you know, makes you want to, you know, throw a chair around the room and just mosh until your head falls off. That's what I want in thrash. This band simply does not have that though. Like I really find that they don't really have the intensity that I look for in a lot of thrash. And again, it feels like they're, much more focused on just, very intricate songwriting and technical prowess, which again, I'm not knocking these guys as musicians. They are very, very talented musicians. But man, I don't know. Again, it's just kind of boring to me. I don't really latch onto any of the songs. Like again, it's like, I like some technical metal, but there has to be something more beyond just the technicality for me to latch onto. Otherwise, it just comes across as, just wankery, basically. And yeah, this band, another problem I have with this band, honestly, are kind of the vocals. I know they had two different vocalists. I don't remember the names of either of them. I know one of their vocalists was also in, like, Dangerous Toys and stuff like that. But yeah, the vocals are, like, very, very high-pitched, and they're pretty grating, honestly. Like, after a while, it's just like, okay, just please stop. And I wouldn't have such a problem with the vocals if the music was good, but again, I'm not saying the music is bad or that these guys are bad, incompetent musicians. They are not. They are very talented, but I just don't care for again, don't care for their songwriting. I think it's just not interesting. And again, for a thrash band, they really don't have much of the intensity or the aggression that I look for in thrash. And again, I like a lot of bands that are very similar to Watchtower. I like Voivod and Coroner and Toxic and Heathen, bands like that. I like technical and like progressive thrash, and I like challenging thrash, but it's challenging, but that's kind of all it is to me. It's just challenging, and it's just intricate, but there's really nothing for me to latch onto with this band. So for me, Watchtower, I just cannot get into them. I respect them for their musicianship, but I really do not care for their music at all. Circling back to death metal for my fourth pick, this is a kind of, again, a more modern band, kind of one of the whole OSDM revival bands, old school death metal revival bands. Which, out of the whole old school death metal revival movement, there are some bands that I like. I do enjoy bands like, Frozen Soul and Gatecreeper and stuff like that, but this is one of the bands that I simply cannot get into, and that band is Necrot. I've listened to this band, and again, I really just do not care for their music. Kind of like Evil 2 a bit, where I just feel like it's very derivative, it's like too similar to a bunch of other bands for me to really latch onto. Like, again, to me, it's like I could just listen to a Morbid Angel or to a Bolt Thrower album and honestly be happier for listening to those. But yeah, I don't know, this band really, again, I just don't care for their songwriting at all. I've listened to a couple of their albums. I listened to their last album, Lifeless Birth, which I saw on a lot of like people's top 10 albums of the year list. I saw a lot of year-end lists mentioned Lifeless Birth. A lot of people really love that album, and respect. If you like that album, no disrespect. If you like any of the bands on this list, no disrespect whatsoever. Listen to whatever you want to listen to. I really don't care what you like or what you don't like. But yeah, Necrot. Again, no. It's just very boring, I've listened to it, and nothing I've heard from this band ever grabbed me at all. It doesn't jump out at me. It's just there, and it's not there enough for me to want to go back to it and, listen to it again. Who knows? Again, maybe this band could grow on me later, but for the most part, I just really do not care for this band. Again, I've tried. I know a lot of people love them, but I just cannot get into them. So for me, Necrot, again, out of the whole, I am kind of critical of the modern old school death metal movement anyways. I feel like, again, some of it is good, but a lot of it is very plain and very derivative of just like other bands. And I feel like Necrot is one of the worst examples of it just being very derivative, and I really don't care for it at all. Like, honestly, for me, for old school death metal revival or like new wave of OSDM, I'd much rather listen to just like Skeletal Remains or Laceration or bands like that. So yeah, Necrot, not a fan. And the final band I'd like to discuss for this video, I have one very, very specific reason why I cannot get into this band, and that band is none other than Macabre. So Macabre are a bit more obscure, I feel like, but they do have a very strong cult following. Death metal, grindcore, thrash metal, all kind of blended together. I guess you could call this like death grind, or I guess they were mostly kind of death metal, but also again, a lot of grind, a lot of thrash. Overall, I do like this band's music. I think they got some really cool riffs, and I think the songs are, they're fun, but they're also just very, like this band's whole thing is just being gory and goofy and, all about, serial killers and mass murderers and stuff like that. which is fine. This band is a lot of fun. Minus one thing, and that is Nefarious's vocals. I think his ordinary, like, death growls are solid. Like, his normal, like, you know, low roars, I think, are pretty alright. But those fucking high-pitched shrieks, oh my fucking lord. Every time I hear them, it's like, no, shut it off, I'm done. I really have tried so hard to get past them, but his vocal cords, for me, those high-pitched shrieks are the fucking wall. Like, again, as soon as I hear them, it's like, no, I'm done, I cannot take this anymore. And again, which is a shame, because I like this band's music. Again, the music itself is a lot of fun. Hell, if this band was an instrumental, or, again, if you could, again, his normal death growls are okay, but if you remove, if you just get rid of those fucking high-pitched wailing shrieks, yelps, I don't know what you would call them. If you get rid of those, this band would honestly be really good. But yeah, I've heard, you know, a couple of drums again. I listened to their debut, Gloom, which is kind of like, it's honestly just kind of a straight up grindcore album, really. Honestly, it's almost like a goofy punk album in spots, really. But, man, that album is like borderline unlistenable to me just because those high, oh my god. And I like, you know, I like vocalists with, you know, high registers and stuff, but, oh my, I just hate this dude's high-pitched shrieks. I just cannot get past them at all. And yeah, they're not as bad on their upper releases as they are on, you know, say, Gloom, but my god, I just cannot get into this band. But due to those high-pitched shrieks, again, as soon as they come in, I immediately lose interest and I just have to shut it off. Which, again, it's a shame, because I think this band's music is pretty solid. But the vocals, again, okay. Yeah, again, that's really the only reason why I can't get into this band, is simply purely due to the vocals. So, yeah, for me, that's Macabre. Again, if you just had a different vocalist, or even if you just didn't do those fucking high-pitched shrieks, I could really like this band. But unfortunately, they're there, and they completely ruin it for me. So, yeah, that concludes my list of 5 bands that I feel like I should like, but I just simply cannot get into them. What are your lists? Leave your lists down here in the comments below. I would love to see what bands you guys feel like you should like, but you really just can't get into. And, well, not much to say. Again, this was inspired by my friend Rusty Darlington, so go give him a subscriber, or sorry, getting all tongue twisted. Go sub to his channel if you have not, and, well, that concludes this video. I am just another Heavy Metal Maniac. I'll see you all sometime in the future. In the meantime, all of you take care and have a great day. So long.